Welcome to Knowledge Nuggets. Let's learn together. The Boston Tea Party. No taxation without representation. Hey, history explorers. This week, we're learning about a very famous protest called the Boston Tea Party. In 1773, colonists disguised as Mohawks dumped tea from the British East India Company into the Boston Harbor. Tea was super important back then. In England, drinking tea was a daily tradition. People loved it with milk and sugar. In the American colonies, tea was also very popular. Colonists drank it every day, and it was a big part of social gatherings and family life. Although Great Britain and the American colonies both enjoyed their tea, it actually became the spark of one of their greatest conflicts. Let's find out why. Tensions had been growing for years. Colonists felt that Great Britain was unfair in how it ruled in the American colonies. Many were starting to think the king no longer treated them like equal British subjects. In 1770, British soldiers fired on a crowd in Boston during the Boston Massacre, killing 5 colonists. This made people even angrier at British rule. In the early 1770s, Great Britain made a financial decision that would forever change the course of history. The British government made a special deal just for one big tea company called the East India Company. This company was in financial crisis. Sales had dropped due to colonial boycotts, competition from cheaper smuggled tea, high costs of wars and administration in India, and a catastrophic famine in 1770 that slashed the company's revenues there. Many powerful people, including members of British Parliament, held stock in the East India Company. Allowing it to go bankrupt risked serious damage to Britain's finances. To rescue the company from collapse, Britain made a deal that allowed it to sell tea in the colonies much cheaper than before, to make sure the colonists would buy from them and not someone else. But there was a catch. The colonists still had to pay a tax on that tea, and they had no say in the British government that decided the tax. They thought this was unfair. It felt like Britain was saying,
"We'll make the tea cheaper so you'll buy it. And when you do, you're accepting that we can tax you whenever we want, without asking you."
Lots of people in the colonies were already angry about taxes they never voted for. They saw the cheap tea as a sneaky trick to get them to give in. Colonial tea sellers were also mad because the special deal would put them out of business. They already paid taxes on many things, but they had no representatives in the British Parliament. This led to the famous cry, "No taxation without representation." It meant the colonists believed it was unfair for Britain to tax them, when they had no voice or vote in making those tax laws. On the night of December 16, 1773, a group of colonists, mostly from the Sons of Liberty, dressed up as Mohawk Native Americans. They boarded 3 British ships in Boston Harbor and dumped 342 chests of tea into the cold water. This was worth quite a lot of money, but they were careful not to damage the ships or hurt anyone. The disguise was meant to hide their identities and to show they were acting as free Americans, not British subjects. Britain was furious. In response, they passed the Coercive Acts, which were also called the Intolerable Acts. These laws closed Boston Harbor, took away some rights from Massachusetts, and made life much harder for the colonists. The British demanded the colonists pay for the destroyed tea, but the Americans refused. The Boston Tea Party was a bold act of protest that changed everything. It united the colonies and ignited strong feelings for liberty and independence. Many people who had been unsure now felt it was time to stand up against unfair British rule. The event helped spark the American Revolution and the birth of a new nation. The Boston Tea Party showed that sometimes a dramatic act can wake up a whole country. What a bold adventure. Let's take a minute to do a quick check on learning. Here are 5 questions for you brave explorers. Question 1. What famous phrase did the colonists use to express their anger about the tea tax? They said, "No taxation without representation." Question 2. What year was the Boston Massacre where British soldiers fired on a crowd and killed 5 colonists? The Boston Massacre was in the year 1770. Great job. Question 3. Why did the colonists dress as Mohawk Native Americans during the Tea Party? They dressed as Mohawks to conceal their identities, as well as to symbolize their new identity as Americans, not British subjects. Question 4. What did the colonists do with the tea on the ships? They dumped the tea into the Boston Harbor. Last question. What laws did Britain establish as a response to the Boston Tea Party? They established the Coercive Acts, also called the Intolerable Acts. These laws made life harder on the colonists and helped spark a desire for war with Britain. Great job, explorers! From a simple cup of tea to a giant step toward freedom, history is full of surprising moments. See you next time.